lovely to see you. We've had our camel intervention, had the bump. That should be it now. It's beautiful to be here with you on this cold and grey solstice morning. Well, actually, solstice was yesterday for us, but, you know, it's really 3 days. Shortest day, 2 long nights, right? So here we are, and I kid you not, when I got up early this morning, the sky was clear, there were stars, and now it's all misty outside. So that's what we've got. Now, so we're doing rocks inside, of course, and here we are. This is beautiful, this is sparkly, this is golden calcite. So you can see all the grains through the stone. Morning, Nora! And there's not really much to say, it's just a beautiful stone. Look, you can see this shape, that's a typical, those angles are really typical for calcite. So parts of this piece are really optical, you can see straight through them. And other bits not, and it's just lovely. Good morning, Maria! So it's just lovely. It's getting a bit misty because of the condensation from my hands. It is fairly cold here today. And we have sodalite. It's not lapis lazuli, it's sodalite. So, good morning. Good morning, Sing Marie. It's lovely to see you. Good morning, Jenny. Just enjoying the rocks. So, yeah, sodalite is just a pretty blue thing. Good morning, Steph. I thought I saw your clown nose. So, just sharing it, really. What more is there to say? It's got a round end on it. I've never understood the purpose of making something like this. If you were going to massage somebody with this, you would need this not to be something that would make a hole in your hand. So, you know, I suppose this is supposed to focus energy. Well, I can do that with my mind. I don't need a stone shaped for it. But there you go. It's a beautiful thing. Last but not least, more calcite, but this time it's kind of brown, and it's been crafted into a lovely Merkaba, which, you know, square, whatever that is. Always makes me think of a little bird with its beak open. And then obviously, you know, there's the 6-pointed star, and you can see all the triangles, and it's just a lovely thing that I enjoy. And good morning, I can see people hopping on. Facebook doesn't always tell me who you are. That's just lovely. Good morning, Solera. Good morning, Harley. It's great to see you. So here we are, doing rocks inside because it's cold out there. Tracy, good morning, honey. So today, this is kind of picking up on the tail end of our conversation on Friday. Hi, Barbara! Because I did my pricing rave. I haven't done my pricing rave for ages, and I actually went back and listened to it because I kind of wanted to get a grip on how I do pricing now, and I was quite surprised. It's like, oh, okay, that sort of makes sense. But there was a little thought that hopped out of this. I can't remember exactly when and who, but, you know, the thought was, well, you know, when I tell people, and I had this happen, right? When I tell people that I'm raising my prices or I'm charging for something that I used to do for free, they're sort of like, what? You know, and we discussed that a bit, but I thought, and it took me a while to really get to grips with what is actually the core problem here, the core challenge, the core thing that's going on when that happens. Morning, Ingrid! And I realised that really what's going on is that you're behaving unpredictably. You have a certain relationship with the people that you've been doing stuff for free for, right? They know what to expect from you. They're often your friends. When you've been practicing, you've got a skill, and you know, that was the real thing that happened with me. Was I was doing stuff for free, and for a while I really enjoyed it because it was kind of like my apprenticeship. But there came a point where I knew that I had finished my apprenticeship and I really was delivering value, and I had to put my prices up, and, you know, and so I did that, and all my clients went away. The point being that you have an established relationship and interaction and expected ways of being with the people with whom you've been doing stuff for free. Tanjiro, it's lovely to see you. So they know what to expect of you. And when you go change that, Jacob, good morning. When you change that, it's like, oh shit, who is this person? Now I don't know what to expect of them. And they're my friend. And friends do stuff for free. Oh, Jenny, thank you, sweetheart. I aim to be the voice, really. I aim to be a face on the Divine Observer. I aim to be a face on the unified field. So that is what should happen. Because that should mean that I just open my mouth and what you command comes to you, you know. It's less and less Maddie and more I'm just a face. I'm just a mouth. And I'm okay with that, by the way. So you change the relationship when you change your prices, or you say, I've been listening to you bitch and complain for the last 20 years and we've been best friends all this time, but I don't want to do bitching and complaining anymore. And yes, now my brain is doing its wonderful associative thing and remembering. See, I see this little picture in my head because I've seen Joe do it. Hi, Abigail. You know, my hero, Joe Dispenza, in one of his workshops and also in his books, right? And let's take something really simple. 2 hydrogen atoms. I mean, most people know that hydrogen gas is 2 hydrogen atoms bound together. So, you know, you can imagine a circle and a circle. This is a very primitive way of thinking about an atom because it's a nucleus with stuff that is around it. But when those 2 things join together to make a molecule of hydrogen gas, they are joined by shared energy, right? They actually share electrons. Each hydrogen whatnot on its own has just got 1 electron. And when you have 2 of them, the 2 electrons make a stable kind of connection and they share those energies and that makes them a molecule. And it's the same with friends, believe it or not. You have to have the same energy between you to be connected. Hi, Rhonda! That's just how it works. And so whatever your relationship is with people who you've been complaining with for a long time, or who you've been saying yes to for a long time when really you wanted to say no, or a boss or a spouse or a child or a client, whatever, whenever you want to change the basis on which you relate to them, and that includes charging money, if you don't prepare people for it, then they get a bit of a shock. Good morning, John. They get a bit of a surprise and they don't know what to do. They don't know how to be. And so, okay, fine. I actually want to change the nature of a relationship. Someone I've been complaining with for, you know, however long. And now I've realised I don't want to complain anymore. So, but my friend is still expecting me to complain with them. So how do I manage that, right? Or this person that I've been doing maybe a swap with, because that's quite common, people exchange skills, and maybe you don't actually feel comfortable receiving what that person offers anymore, but you feel a bit uncomfortable saying, actually, I don't want this to carry on, I've changed and I've grown, and you know, it's like, oh, how do I handle this? How do I change my relationship with this person and keep myself intact and hopefully keep the relationship relatively comfortable, which you can't always do. But that's really the question which sits behind the pricing conundrum of I've been doing this stuff for free and now I want to charge, and the chances are that when I just put up my prices, people are going to bugger off. Well, maybe they will. Because as I said yesterday, you know, when you do things for free or for very low, you've got to think about the kind of people that energetically qualify and are willing to make that kind of investment in themselves. Good morning, Violet. And if you then say, well, I want you to make more of an investment in yourself, they may not want to do that. Yeah, you change the dance, and they have to actually educate people about what the dance is. And they can decide to stay and pay or go. It's their challenge or yours, quite right. But I think the point I'm making is that if you can put some thought into this and decide how much you're going to help them make the journey of the decision. Because if we just dump things on people and say, oh, well, you know, but it can be mine, Ingrid, you're quite right. It can be my problem or theirs. Depends on how wound up I am and keeping everything the same. Doesn't always work like that. But I think if you give people an opportunity to know what choice they're making, then they can make a choice that's right for both of you rather than just knee-jerking into, oh my God, I don't know what to do, and, oh, this is uncomfortable. And so if, for example, we take the gnarly thing, because I've been in this situation actually, of doing a swap, or there's some kind of exchange or connection, and actually I want it to stop, but I don't know how to say that. Well, first thing is to think, well, actually, what makes me, notice I'm not saying why, forget why. Why is never a helpful question. It just goes round and round in circles. What makes me want to change this? And for me, fundamentally, and it might take me a while to realize it, but for me, fundamentally, if I want to change a connection with someone, it's because the resonance is off. I've grown, or they've changed, or whatever. We're no longer two hydrogen atoms bound together by this energy that makes us a nice stable molecule. It's like I've become helium and they're still hydrogen, and it just doesn't work anymore, And I'm trying to be something I'm not by staying in that connection, and eventually it feels uncomfortable, and then I notice, right? So that's the question. It's like, okay, what's actually changed? Right, I don't feel comfortable in this anymore. Now, forgetting how I'm going to say it to the person, because I haven't worked that out yet. What do I want to say to them? What do I want to say to them? This doesn't feel right anymore. And by the way, in this example, when you actually raise that and say it, you're probably going to find that they've been feeling it too. They just also haven't known how to say it. And you are respecting each other by being honest. So, so to actually say, hey, to walk up to somebody or have it, ring them up and say, hey, something about this connection isn't working quite the same way for me as it used to. That's a really neutral way of saying, oh, something's changed. And you might have noticed it too, and it's okay if you haven't. Okay, so that's the reason why. Now, what do you want? I think I need to step back from this, or I need it to change a certain way. So you need to work out what's happened, so that you can articulate that clearly to the person and then say, okay, this is what I would like to have it be for myself. You can't make it for them. And in the instance of a friend where you've been doing stuff for free, but now you're going into business and you need to be able to charge, and you want to somehow say to them, look, you're my friend. I really appreciate the fact that I've practiced on you all this time. Poriwa, good morning. Good morning, Jane. I've practiced on you all this time, and that's been wonderful, and I'm so grateful for that. You're totally right, Ingrid. Yeah, we absolutely, we went into all over that on Friday, and I really enjoyed it, because people have to want to value themselves, but when we have to change the game, it's different because they have an expectation, and so we have to address the fact that the game is changing so that they can actually process the fact that the game is changing, and now they have a choice. So to say to that friend that I've practiced on all the time, the first thing is to appreciate the fact that I've practiced on them all this time and say thank you. That's been awesome. Now look, you know that I'm going into business for myself. And I've been thinking and feeling and sort of sensing into what that means for my up until now free clients. Okay, now you're giving them a heads up that something's changed. And what it really makes me realise is now that I have to put some value on my time. Hi, Jan! Because you remember when I was a rank beginner and nothing much happened, and now you're really loving what I'm doing, right? So you know that I've grown. So you're stepping them through their journey with you. And so then it's like I actually have to present you with some choices here, and we have to work out what's right for you and what's right for me, because it's actually not okay for me to keep on just giving you stuff, because I know the value I'm delivering and so do you, and you're going to feel like you owe me after a while, and I'm going to actually start resenting you. This is very honest, right? So it takes a certain amount of something to do that. But it also is very respectful, like you were saying, Tracy. It's very respectful to show up to a person and unpack what's going on anyway, but nobody's quite knowing how to do that. And say, this is what will happen, and I actually value you and my connection with you enough that I'm going to front up to you and say, hey, there needs to be a change in the way that we do this. Or one of the options is that we don't do it anymore. But if you do want to do it anymore, we need to work out between us how that works out. And you might say, but you have to be very careful about this, because the tendency is to say, oh, I feel a bit guilty doing all this. And you've got to get past guilt or obligation or duty or any of that stuff. Because the tendency is to say, well, look, I'll make it mates rates. But that might not actually be what you want to do. And if you can't, if you mentally rehearse this, if you feel your way through this, and you can't honestly say, hey, I'm happy to do mates rates for you, I'm happy to do, 60% of the charge or whatever it is. If you're not happy to do that, then don't say it. You're actually better to say to the person, look, I really would like to give you mates rates because that'd make me feel better, because I kind of feel uncomfortable saying, hey, this is what my time is worth now. So you have to be honest. You really do have to front up with people. But when you are that honest, you give them the freedom to either join you in that honesty or just to blow you off, right? So you have to be prepared for them to go, But if they join you in that honesty, they'll say, okay, so this is your rate. Gee, I have to think about, and you can help them through this. You can say, hey, do you actually, is this kind of a nice entertainment for you? Were you doing this to help me? Or is this actually adding a value in your life? And would you like to continue as my client? And by the way, and this is another thing to think through, as my client, it's actually a little bit different. You get this and this and this and this that you didn't get because you were just my mate that I was practicing on before. So you see, you have to unpack the whole thing, which means you have to work that out for yourself. And by the time you've worked out what it is that you are feeling that means you want to change, what it is that it means to the person that you want to make their own decision. It's not even, I want you to stay with me or I don't. It's just, this is how it is now with me. Do you want to play or not? So it's like you have to really clearly set your rules. You really have to decide who you are as a practitioner. So, or as a service provider. It doesn't matter if you're mowing lawns or doing Reiki. If you're negotiating, your own rates, this is actually the process that I had to work through. I don't have to do it now because I've kind of made that transition. It only took me 14 years. So, it wasn't easy because I didn't understand all this stuff. But that's the process. You really have to be able to present a person with a clear choice and a clear understanding of what they're choosing. So that they can say, yeah, well, actually, I was just helping you out. I don't want to carry on doing this. It was nice, thank you, but, I'm done. Or, oh, okay, actually, I do want to continue this journey with you as a practitioner. Yeah, and it's a dual relationship. And, if somebody sits down with me as coach, they sit down with me as coach. And to be honest, I have very few friends. Hi, Karen. And I'm okay with that. And there's a reason for that, because relating with me, it just seems to be that it's not who I am, it's just what happens. It's just what happens. And so I don't lightly spend time with people because it's like, oh God, it's Maddie, she's on again. The people who spend time with me actually have to be able to handle me being me. I'm not very good at chilling out. I never have been. I don't think I ever will be. You're welcome, Ingrid. Blessings. To really decide in yourself what is the truth for you, and to work out what the choices are for those people, and to work out, and this can take you some time, to work out how you're going to present it to them in a way that has absolutely no shred of, oh, I need you to stay with me. Because as soon as you need them to stay with you, they're going to feel that, and so are you, right? You've got to work out how you want to show up in that role, in that state of being where you get paid. And that's a process, and it's a very thoughtful and spending time feeling into it and deciding who you are with that process. You're not going to know it in a snap if you've never done it before. It really takes some thought and some soul searching. Who am I? How does it feel? How do I show up when I get paid? And it's not even a question. I don't feel guilty. I don't feel like I'm taking anything from anyone, because remember, if they don't give, they can't receive, because there's a mutuality, but you're changing. You are no longer two hydrogen atoms sharing this kind of, energy in common. You're actually breaking that old connection and saying, I'm no longer a hydrogen atom. I'm a calcium atom. And I'm going to connect with you in this way or not, and that's okay, because I'm all right with whatever you choose. And it's that whole thing of knowing where you stand so strongly that they're free to make a good choice. That is, and you're not going to feel comfortable with it to start with. But understand, from my perspective, that's what I would always want to be doing. And when I'm offering people with choices, I tend to say, and sometimes I lose it, and often I'll go back and think, no, you missed that out, Maddie. I'll say, I think you should do this, or I have this suggestion to make, but it is a suggestion and you have to decide. And there's no right answer, and what you choose for yourself is the only thing that matters. And I always make quite a lot of effort to pull that you must, I think it's best, I think you should, away from it, because they got to make their own decision. So, this is about changing the basis on which you relate to a certain person or people. And to do that as gracefully as possible, you really need to know who it is and how it is you want to be. Oh, how exciting, Roberta. That's brilliant. I'm glad you could join us. It's lovely to be working with people who adore you. Sometimes, it's not like that. But regardless, you have to know how you want to show up in that connection, what energy you're going to hold. That includes your expectations of anybody who's relating to you. What shape am I going to be? What do I expect? What are my rules? Who am I? How am I? And the rest of it washes out of that pretty simply. So that's what I wanted to say. It's a really cool subject. Big love. I'm looking forward to replying to your comments, and I hope somebody asks me a really cool question. I will see you with bells on tomorrow. Bye-bye.